Welcome to episode 5 of the Integrated Human Podcast, where we explore holistic health, human potential, and conscious living. Today, we have a very special guest, someone who's, nearly just as young as me. So this is like an inspirational podcast for myself, right? But it's none other than Ishan. I just kind of met him kind of thing, but I like to go by nicknames, right? So I follow his rope flow page, so I'm just gonna call you InterFlows, right? So I'm here with InterFlows, aka Ishan, right? And he's into a lot of cool stuff like metaphysics, depth psychology, human design, consciousness, a different kind of avenue inside the holistic health and wellness kind of scope of things, in which I'm excited to really get deep into this stuff. So without further ado, none other than Ishan, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, bro. I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. So yeah, before we get into kind of the questions, again, you're a young man too. So my question for you, just to open it up, is like, where's this passion coming from? What got you into health and getting all into these different, aspects?
Well, yeah, my journey kind of started from college. I was really not into health at all. I played sports growing up, playing basketball, soccer, just really focused on movement. Not like functional movement, just regular movement, playing outside, having a good time, being with
Yep.
your boys. And then when I got to college, like my freshman year was the pandemic. And so I guess that threw me off in the sense that like I had really no idea what the world could even shut down like that. And that as a person, I'm always really curious. So I kind of dove into like what was happening in the world. And then I found this one podcast and I really, really enjoyed it. It was called Alpha Vedic, and they
Alpha
had
Vedic.
yeah, Alpha Vedic, and they had two people. One was Dr. Bear Lando and Mike Winter. Dr. Bear Lando came from a background of holistic medicine, and that was like kind of the entry point for me understanding what that really meant. So he, kind of explained he had a private clinic and what he was doing, his practices look like, and it was totally different. I wouldn't even say it's totally different from regular holistic medicine. It was very metaphysical, talking about energetics and how to like actually measure these energetics with different tools and stuff like that. And so when I got into this space of exploring, the alternative side of medicine, I really just went full on deep. I dropped out of college
Mm.
because of there was multiple reasons during the pandemic that made
Yep.
me, yeah. So I did that, and then synchronistically, as soon as I did that, there was the Bigleson Academy that dropped the course onto Intro to Philosophy of like terrain. And when I took that course, that was really my eye opener into what is the body and what is consciousness and how does the mind really affect the body, and
Mm.
it got really into this notion of like, okay, maybe there's something really deeper at play here, and then just pulling the thread kept going deeper and deeper, and then I thought I was gonna be in that field. I worked at an acupuncture clinic. I went to acupuncture school, and then
Oh wow.
yeah, and then you get that feeling like when your heart is not really in that space, like you learned a lot, but then I mean as a 3-5 in human design, my kind of attitude or way of living is failing forward. Like if it doesn't light me up, I really can't do it. I really
Yeah.
so I did the acupuncture school, I dropped that, and then I really got into rope flow. I watched a
Mm.
video, I saw someone doing it, I was like, I really wish I did martial arts growing up because that would have been a game changer for me. Like I feel like that would have given me an identity or a center or grounded like kind of experience of movement. And so when I picked up a rope, I was so uncoordinated. I can't dance. I couldn't dance. I
Yeah.
couldn't. No rhythm, no coordination, no nothing. I played basketball. I was good at it just because I knew how to shoot. Like I
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
have a 1 2 year old or nothing like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I picked up the rope in 2024, like the beginning of the year. I saw Tim Chief of the Way of the Rope post a video on it, and so I bought his rope. And it didn't feel natural for the first 3 months. I barely picked it up, like it was just sitting in the corner. I did it sometime here and there. And then there was a point when it all clicked. Like when I got the sneak down, like when that rope came over my head, I was like, wait a minute, how did my shoulder move like that? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So then I realized there's really something to it. And then, the rope flow community is deep. There's so many impactful people there, and a lot of people are willing to, share and give their advice. So I just kind of opened up. I was like, hey, like I'm new here. What could I learn? And then I just experimented, made it a discipline to do 10 minutes a day every day, and I still do 10 minutes every day, every day.
Mm.
Um, so that's where my journey began in terms of like holistic medicine, and then turning or morphing into like a movement based understanding of mind body connection.
Mm. Cool, cool. That sounds like a dope rabbit hole that you already kind of went down. So,
Yeah.
nah, thank you for sharing that. And what is terrain medicine? Is it just a fancy word for holistic health, or is this like
Um,
another kind of?
yeah, it's a whole nother paradigm, kind of like I don't want to get because I'm not too familiar with it, but the basic term they use terrain as like germs are not the real reason that cause disease. Terrain as in like
Okay.
your emotional terrain, your physical terrain, your mental terrain, like all of these different things that are not like external. So it's very internal based practice of like understanding, wait a minute, my terrain is the one that's causing any type of physical symptoms to manifest.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I can see that. So, I remember one time you commented on one of my posts a few months back, like what's your human design, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were talking about. Um, so if you could kind of, if we can kind of shift gears into like human design, what that is, and then let that go into whatever else. But
Yeah.
yeah, human design, what is that?
Yeah, human design is kind of like a combination of astrology, Kabbalah. I think there's the Enneagram as well. So it's a combination of different divination arts and practices. But basically, it gives you a map of how you make decisions uniquely. It's your unique chart. It's your unique way of living. It's basically like a blueprint, right? Like how your actions show up in the world. Um, and then there's also a body graph that comes with it, and that's honestly something I didn't look at the first. I just wanted to know my profile, my type, but really, in my opinion, the meat and bones of human design is when you can apply it. Can like how can you use this type of information to your physical body? Like literally,
Mm,
like how do you train your physical body based off your human design? And so the body graph gives you like these centers. There's 9 different centers. It's very similar to chakra, right? And what happens is in these centers, if you have open, defined, undefined, these are where pressure cavitations can live. So that's where you would probably feel less awareness, essentially. So the goal, how I use body graph, and I've learned this from the archive from Pasha and Marco, um, it's called sensory design. It's basically using pressurization, awareness, different types of tools and drills to feel these areas into your human design body graph that may have been stagnant because of like conditioning, not self stuff, all different types of things that the world throws at you. And so bringing the power back into your own body using this type of knowledge, I feel like is a game changer. But in reality, human design is super, super practical. And honestly, in the beginning, when I first learned about it, I thought it was similar to astrology. It was very like, woo woo, like it's out there.
yeah.
Yeah, it becomes practical once you know how you can use it. And then I geeked out on it for a long time, and then I like started getting everybody's charts. I was like, "Yo, tell me your chart. Tell me where you at." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, that literally tells me exactly how you are." And the best part, how I use it is like I navigate my relationships that way too. Like if I know a
Mm,
certain person is some type of way, I can change my dialogue or change my tone, the way that I am, my actions, everything based on someone else's chart. Um, and not in like a bad way, like I'm like lowering myself, but more of like a symbiotic like relationship where you're really creating harmony, um, instead of like just trying to push. So I'd say human design is a combination of a lot of things that help you understand who you really are as a decision maker,
Mhm.
um, and how you operate in a world full of unique individuals.
I think that's beautiful because we definitely need to have better solutions and ways of how we interact with each other. So understanding yourself, then maybe you can see yourself and other people because we're all reflections, and then you can adjust accordingly with your communication. Whether that be networking, business. So I think that's really applicable. And what was like the first shift that you seen once you started to really apply in your own life with this human design?
The first thing that I really enjoyed was that kind of like that validation. Like, wait a minute, my life is very much like if something is not gonna satisfy me or not lighting me up in that moment, I will not be able to have the energy to continue on that specific task. For example, academics was very, very tough for me because my heart was not into it. I was learning. I have a lot of different books, self-learning, self-taught, but there was just that aspect of like, I don't know, it could have been conditioning from authority, right? Like somebody from my young, when I was a kid, somebody told me like I can't do something that I really wanted to do, and now I don't like somebody telling me what to do about anything. So there's different these little things that you can pick up, but what helped me was that validation, and then making my basing my life around failing forward. Like I
Mhm.
have to just experiment. I have to do things in order to figure it out, and I can't just learn from somebody else's experience.
Well said. Well said. And how does this translate, or does this translate into metaphysics?
Yeah, that that's a it's definitely a hard one to put into words, like how it could manifest into metaphysics. But I the way that I've seen human design work is a full body mind consciousness exploration, because it has this design aspect and a personality aspect. So you in like depth psychology terms, you have a shadow side, and then you have your regular integrated self. And
Yeah.
so it's really cool to see that there is like two different parts of you that live in the same body in your own psyche,
Mm.
that you have different archetypes, you have different I'm not sure if you're familiar with like IFS or what is it called? Internal family systems, where you
No.
have these different parts of you within your own psyche. One is, whichever one is the one that's running the bus or driving the bus, but there's still a part of you that's, that maybe wants to do something else, that's still sitting on the bus, and learning how to communicate with those type of people within your own psyche. Human design is it doesn't have those tools to do that, but it has the exploration product of which one is really your design that needs to be expressed into the world.
Mm.
Whereas a lot of systems do have thing like Enneagram, and not like there's so many divination arts, like you can go down a rabbit hole. But what human design really practically does do is it really gives you a straightforward, hey, I am this unique character in this beautiful world. How do I express myself to the highest quality of authenticity, that I was designed to be? And
Mm.
not in a way like, oh, you, because of you're limited based on your design, but you have more capacity to do things based on your design. And then the best part about human design, and it's not one time, it's not a snapshot, it's an ongoing thing, because there's transits, there's planets moving, there's luminaries that literally
Mm.
activate and different channels and gates throughout the year. So you have different parts of you that, or like if you're in a relationship with somebody else who has a different gate than you do, and you have one gate, and now you guys are on that same channel, you guys have a channel to, your communication is so different compared to if you were to have a conversation with somebody who didn't have that specific gate. So it's a the way I look at it, it's like a everybody's like a puzzle, right? Like now
Right.
we can just see where we fit into each other, and how we can go on and create a beautiful harmonic, like communicative relationship, community, society, basically from microcosm to macro. But it definitely starts with the self for sure.
No, that's really cool. It kind of it reminds me reminds me of astrology, but like on a on another level with a lot more moving parts
Yeah.
or maybe integrativeness, which is pretty cool. So, you know, now like kind of shifting gears, like I know you spoke about depth psychology and all that and the different archetypes and drivers of the mind. Like, could you help me out? Like, I'm thinking, so it's deeper than just your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Like, there's other facets to this thing.
Yeah, I would say, I haven't dove too much into the architecture of the psyche. However, based on my own research and readings, I can say that the mind is so complicated in the terms of there's you have so many voices in your head. A lot of them may not even be influenced by yourself. And I tend to think that the mind is very much like a receiver, and you have to kind of tune into which radio station you want to put yourself to
Mm,
express. And so yeah, every I think I'll speak for everyone. Everyone has different parts of themselves that either they dislike or they don't accept. And then there's also parts of that they love. And so integrating both of them is a very hard aspect. Like how do you hate something and want to integrate it into something that you love? That's it's deep work, and I feel like for me personally it's always been just finding things that light you up, going with that, going through your interests that light you up, and then eventually when you get to that point where you feel like, oh, this is not serving me anymore, something that I don't like is bringing me down, my own habits or my own something from my own mind is creating, physical manifestation of symptoms, then I'd probably look into more of a deeper psychological inner work, like, oh wait, where did I pick up that belief system? I feel like everything is
mm.
really come down to like that beliefs. Have you read of Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton?
I haven't read that, but I've heard of Bruce Lipton.
Okay, yeah. So he talks about epigenetics, but his understanding of belief is really the cause of physical, not and I'm talking dogmatic or certainty, but he
Yep.
does believe that your belief does have a huge impact on how things show up in your body, like if you get sick or something like that. And so it's really interesting how you choose to mold your identity based off your beliefs, and that's the deconstruction of that is where I see kind of the psyche and the different parts of us that we kind of have to hold our hand towards, because it's all about compassion. Nobody's perfect. This world is
You're
already
right.
is. It's showing up for yourself. It's doing the things that you maybe not want to do just in order to show like, hey, I can do it. The way that I look at it, I think this has worked for me, is just proving to my younger self that I can do it. And I'm
Mm,
not comparing to anybody else. This is my journey. I'm walking my path, and I'll see where it takes me.
absolutely. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to do if we just keep it real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially with, you know, this is very fast paced, the world that we live in. And I heard something where like, you know, one day in this time that we're living in is worth like 100 years of just information and experience 100 years ago. So like time has like and information has sped up so much where like, this is a lot that we have to handle, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
in being like, like what would you say an anchor is for you in this process? Like you said, we're not perfect and we all fall short sometimes. And then, it's a mental thing as well that we're unpacking and figuring out. So for you personally, how do you how do you keep an anchor, right? Because if we do like talk about the mind, right? Like if we're going subconscious, and belief systems, there could be things we're not even aware of
Hmm.
that is creating these habits, but we know is not us.
Hmm.
But then that's the work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's to stay down and stay consistent and not let that, control you. So if you could speak for yourself, how you stay vigilant.
For sure, and I appreciate that because there's a lot of freaking noise.
Yeah.
Today's world, it's very hard to quiet down. You have social media, you have devices, you have AI, you have technology just booming. You know, there's so many different things. Geopolitically, the world feels like it's going to shit. And still in these times is where I find that the awareness of, for me, that keeps me grounded is finding my people, my like-minded people.
Mm,
um, Even though that may seem silly, like, you know, you're staying in your own box, the people that consider like-minded are open-minded, in sense like they have nuance and can talk about different topics, but like-minded in the sense that we don't see the world as um, any type of negative connotation. It is always happening in my favor. Everything is going, basically everything unwinds and synchronicities happen. Why? Because the world wants it to be known. Yourself wants to be expressed. That's
mm,
the goal, right? Life, the flower will always bloom if the conditions are right. And so for me to keep that condition to be right is that community, that baseline of like, who can I go to, the people that I can, you know, confide in different areas of my life. And a lot of it does come down to personal awareness. Like, if I'm aware of something that is not serving me, I even if I can't change that habit currently, that awareness alone can pull me forth into like, oh wait, what are the tools? What are the different people that I can maybe talk to about this, who had similar experiences? Or even I'm a podcast fiend, bro. I love information, and that's just because I'm a Virgo and Mercury looked like a 29 degrees, so like I can capture information all day long if I wanted to. and
yeah.
it literally I live for that. It gives me, it's like a food, you know, like it lights me up. And so, though, there's certain practices that keep me grounded, and one of them, I know you're gonna love, is basketball, bro. If
I
I
mean,
on basketball, bro, it would be really hard to not be able to. There's a lot of frustration sometimes you get throughout the day. It kind of like gives you like a blank slate when you're on the court with like random people. Pick up basketball might be the most fascinating thing in human nature.
right.
Like, you stay on if you win. People got to pick you up. Like, it's like a whole little like inner world that's happening, but no one really talks about like the inner like psychology that happens on the court. But it's really fascinating, because it does keep you grounded and you play your role. You do your best. It's
Mm,
literally telling you like, yo, whatever you do, you don't know these people, but you're still gonna have to play with them at your best to win the game. And that's
mm,
how I just view, like, for me, that groundedness comes from other people that are keeping me in check while I'm also trying to play my role.
right. Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. Then that kind of just makes me think of like, um, it's definitely competitive because we're naturally competitive, right? But ultimately, this is just an activity
Hmm.
without necessarily an outcome. You know what
Right.
I mean? And
Yeah.
that's like the beauty of it into keeping you anchored is because it's like that. It's that moment doing something you're enjoying without even an outcome, which doesn't take any energy because you're fully engulfed and immersed into that activity,
For
which is
sure.
like a nice reset, a nice, mental detox and just recalibration. Plus, you're getting movement, you're outside, you're interacting. So, like, all around is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's a level of camaraderie, you know, that I
Mm,
really appreciate as well. It's like, even when you lose, you still dab them up. It's a great time. And
right.
so I'm in a group, something over here in, it's all over the world, but here in New Jersey, it's called Swadhyay. It's a group that's called, it stands for the study of self. And so
Mm,
every Thursday morning we have basketball. And so we have, about 20 to 30 people, mostly college kids at Rutgers University, that come at 7 a.m. and we hoop. We, just play some hoops. But the first thing we do before we hoop is we gather in a circle and we pray. And why do we pray? It's not We're not praying because, everybody's religious. We're not doing that. We're creating a environment, even if nobody knows what the prayer is saying, that's unified in a harmonial, like, whatever happens, leave it on the court.
mm,
This is the time to build relationships, not necessarily just to play basketball. It's deeper than basketball. And so I
mm,
appreciate basketball because for some it's just a sport. For us, it's like it's so much deeper than that. And the network, the people that you meet, the conversations, it's so fun. I highly doubt I will ever stop playing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nah, basketball was definitely it was that was my first love sport. I played, as a child all the way till maybe about high school, and then I transitioned into wrestling, and then
Oh,
that
nice.
became yeah, that became a staple. It's like when you talk about martial arts, I know what you mean. It's definitely a beautiful thing to start young and pick up those motor skills, right? Um, and like talking about rope flow, like I don't know all the skills and the tricks of rope flow, but like my feet do the right thing,
Yeah.
but my hands may not follow. And I kind of cater that to wrestling and all that kind of stuff.
The
So
the beautiful thing with rope flow that I've noticed is that it's really not, you don't need to know any tricks in order for this
yeah.
movement to work. It's underhand, overhand, spirals, infinity, and learning. It's really this coordination where at some level, after like 2 3 minutes that you start to do it, maybe you're having a conversation with someone while you're doing it, and you have no idea how your body is functioning. The awareness is no more like, oh, what am I doing? It's doing. It's being.
Mhm.
It's straight up like in flow. And that's where the best part happens, is when you can train your kind of like brain body connection into this level of, don't think, just do it. And on the court, that's the way I play. I don't think. I stop thinking. It just, if I get the ball, I'm open, I'm shooting it. Like no question. And the same way with row flow. If I just, catch a flow, I sometimes don't even like to listen to music because I just want to just do whatever I want. Like it feels like a child. I feel like a kid. And rope flow is very, it's for all ages. It's the best thing. It's because it's like a very, anybody can try it out. And I'm happy because next week I'm going to Confluence, which is a
Okay.
beautiful event with 1,000 people from all over the world, gathering for on a ranch, on a full like regenerative ranch, all about,
Mm.
alternative or holistic medicine, freedom, natural law, sovereignty, all in one place, right? And they gave me an opportunity in the mornings to do rope flow sessions. So
Ooh.
I'm bringing 25 ropes with me, and people, I'll be flowing all around the festival. I did it last year as well, but it's just like a real introduction to what it just feels like to play. How can we invite
Mhm.
play into our life? And that's where kind of like when I first started into. Funny enough, when I first started my account, InterFlows, I had no idea what Inter even meant. I knew I wanted to do something flows, and I knew Inter kind of like resembled my name just a little bit, had a little metaphysical, mythopoetic kind of connotation in it. And then like that interflow just means a coming together of different ideas. I was like, okay, I can get with that. And then I learned about introception, which has the first inter. I'm like, holy crap! I literally self prophesized myself into creating the academy, which I now have Introceptive Academy, which is like insane. Go looking back is usually when you can connect the dots, but when you start, it
Right.
just doesn't. You have no idea why you do it.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And and what is introceptive your academy? Like what does it entail and the people that are in there, what are they in there for? What are they learning?
Yeah, it's not fully live yet. It's just built
Oh.
out the website and the school system and everything. However, the kind of what I want it to be is a very, I would say this is something I wish I had when I was like that 13 to 28, age range, is just a group of people that are, self-curious or on the path of discovery. And the three pillars are movement, which will be rope flow, staff, mace flow, and so many other different things. And I'm happy for other people to explore their own movements. This space is open for movement. And then
Right.
the second part of it is depth psychology. And why I really love depth psychology, it's maybe because I'm very psychoanalytic in nature, but it's something that gives me a way of understanding the world in a very like, oh, okay, I can have now compassion because I now understand it. If I didn't understand it, I'd be like, why would I even, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then so that depth psychology aspect is like Carl Jung, more of like that shadow integration, learning like conditioning. And then the third pillar is metaphysics, and the metaphysics for me is very why I love metaphysics is because it is human design, it is astrology, it's alchemy, it's so many different things that our ancestors knew about and talked about all the time. And I just got really deep into my own culture of the Vedic roots and like
Mhm.
understanding what these like different scriptures were saying, not as a like a actual thing, but what were they trying to like emanate? What was the essence of that text? And a lot of it comes down to that metaphysical aspect of just expressing yourself at the highest authenticity is your way to find your center. And when you find your center and you bring that inner awareness, it becomes a metaphysical activity because metaphysics is never about the whole world and the cosmos and it's trying to figure out the world, but inner metaphysics, like how am
Mm.
I the one that's controlling the world outside of me? And so that's where I wanted to kind of shift that. I kept the three pillars very, basic, but inside is going to be mostly going to be inward focused, like understanding of all of these different topics. And then what I'm really, really excited for is these sensory drills that I've learned from the archive
Mm.
to integrate that into these classes. And, we can all do these drills together, bro. When I took my before and after picture in the last 4 or 5 months from when I started, it is quite impressive how much you can do to change your. I'm sure you've heard of like mewing or some type of thumb pulling and how you can restructure your actual physical body just based on different movements with your thumb or pressurization. It's quite incredible how much you can become more big in your own body. That I love
Mm.
this because the body is literally an absolute mirror of your like your where you are in your head. Like if you have self-limiting beliefs, your shoulders might be, inward.
Right.
Yeah, like yeah, there's different aspects where the body keeps score. I'm sure you've heard of that book as well, but
Yep.
it's quite amazing and fascinating what you can do to become greater in your own body. And so Interceptive Academy is kind of three different pillars that are just focusing on inwards, right? It's very much how can we grow from the inwards out or inside out education.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
That is
Appreciate you.
that is that's great. For you to be this young and all in that space is just is beautiful. The the trajectory is has no limit, right? So
We don't need
that's awesome. Yeah, that is beautiful. I had a question for you. This kind of you've kind of explained it, but kind of like, what would you say? Um, People are misunderstanding, or the masses of people are misunderstanding about themselves at the deepest level.
mm. That's it's hard to say because a lot of people deal with a lot of different things. However, I would say from my own understanding, I think it is a level of purpose and meaning. Like how can
Mm,
we create meaning in our lives? Um and drawing identity around meaning. So for me that's what I really wish I had. I didn't have purpose or meaning, and that's usually what kept me stagnant. Like I didn't wake up thinking like I want to go do something because I have something to pursue. You just woke up and you did it. It was a routine. It was stagnant. Didn't feel like anything was moving. There was no fuel, there was no fire. And so you want to add the flame. And so how I like to view is like a lot of people need to tend to their inner flame, right? Like they need to
mm,
literally add fuel to their fire. And that looks different for everybody, so that's why it's really hard to say. But I would say it's meaning, it's purpose. It's a hard in today's world with a lot of say for example school. You go to school or college and you have a certain amount of things that you are told you can pursue as a career option, And for that person that chooses one, that may not be the best fit for them, and so now they lose a little bit of fire. And so what happens when you keep losing fire and you're losing a little of energy throughout time is that you don't have enough to recover. And so how can we, subtly excite ourselves, or tend to like give more fire? Like how can we add play? Play is such a useful thing because it may not be purpose, but it gives you some type of energy that is unique. It's very it's very kid like. So you can use that same creative energy to now pursue something that you may want to do. And in today's world where, everybody wants to obviously have a digital presence online and wants to create and wants to be seen in the world, what's usually holding us back is our own self-limiting beliefs in that
Mm,
same system. However, I will say that the best way to overcome those things is also community. And I think that's what I like to harp on the most, is because if you can find a right group of people who understand the perspective and mind shift that you would want to see yourself embodying, then it is, I think it's highly valuable to put yourself in those situations or in those groups and those settings so you can retain what these people are really understanding about the world. And the best part is not everybody in this world has to believe the same thing. And that's
mm,
what usually your belief system is what drives you to do more things. And so, yeah, it's hard to create meaning and purpose in today's world. However, if you can surround yourself or, just be in conversations like a sponge, maybe you can try to find a little bit of meaning and purpose. And it does not mean a career, it means meaning as in what meaningful experiences can I have today? Can I make somebody feel good today? Can I say, hey, how are you doing? Reconnect with an old friend like you were just friends, and no agenda, no belief systems being in play. It just, how can we be human? Um,
right.
and I really appreciate your podcast name, The Integrated Self. The Integrated Self is never about your belief system, it's about everybody and your belief system.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. Yeah, yeah. We all have different ways in which, just like you said, we have different beliefs. We have completely different perspectives, and that's what makes us human. That's what makes us unique. Like, imagine a world where everybody followed one religion, everyone followed one diet, one mindset, just one of everything. Like, it just takes the flavor out of us living here. You know what I mean? We're all meant to create something and play a part into this whole play in our unique expression, right? So definitely well said. And what would you say is your biggest thing that you're trying to what is the ultimate message of all of your creations and where you're at now and where you're going? If you could put that into a single phrase or one sentence, what is the message that you want to get across the people that come and pass through you?
Yeah, I have two. I've had a couple that I've wrote down before, but one I would say is take risk, right? I,
Take
I want
risk.
yeah, I want to be able to take risk freely. And a lot of it comes down to because I felt confided in my own upbringing, like, oh, you have to be a certain type of way. But that risk area, and I don't think risk as a bad connotation area. It's the greatest gift to take a risk.
Mm,
And so taking risk is, I would say, is that part, and then there's another aspect where it's like, don't let fear run you, right? We have to run fear. We gotta,
mm,
yeah. And so, and honestly, if there's one word, it would be inspiration. It'd just be,
inspiration.
yeah. It's just to not necessarily inspire anybody. I'm inspiring myself. I'm trying to become better every single day. And yes, I want to help the younger generation. And honestly, that's where I feel like my passion is right now. It is with younger kids. It's that young, like that 10 to 28-year olds, where we're in that kind of phase of we have no idea what the frick this world is. How can we make sense of it? how can we actually belong in it, and how can we create in it at a younger age? Like I felt like I dove into creation and all these things just a little bit later. I mean, their age is just a number. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
but it's a social construct. But at the same time, like we are genuinely creators since the day we are born. How can we use that same energy throughout our life instead of waiting till a certain time until, well, some would say the time is right for now, you know? And so, right, it's all about I want to be able to create and build relationships, and for me, community is like number one up there.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And yeah, yeah. What you said is kind of how got to where I am currently today was through taking a risk, not letting fear run me. Is how I made it to Thailand. Right. It's kind of like a radical shift coming from the Northeast. It's like, where are you going? What are you doing? You know, like what the hell?
Yeah, bro. I had that same kind of background of when I dropped out, a lot of people question, what am I gonna do? And it's like, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna figure it out. That's what humans do.
Right. Right, exactly. Right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. Would you say that was like when you talk about risk and don't let fear run you, would you say dropping out of college was that like ultimate stardom like
100%. It was like I didn't even have the courage to even do that third, let alone have like deep conversations since I was like 20. I was in my head basically the whole time. That moment when I decided like, yo, I cannot deal with this, and then I had to, have that same conversation with my parents. I had to make a presentation in order for them to understand where I was coming from. Like literally had to present to them like, yo, why do I feel like I need to drop? Like I literally gave a school presentation to dropping out of school. That's freaking wild and very ironic.
yeah.
But it is. It was the first step. It was like, that level of risk that made me feel like, wait a minute. Risk is so, it feels so freaking good. Like I think as particularly in men, this is where we thrive. We thrive on building on risk. We thrive on finding opportunities where no one else sees. That's
Right.
like where we find our bread and butter.
Right, right. And to add on to that, um the podcast before this one, the guest had mentioned how like we have to have, delusion.
Oh yeah.
And it's just seeing what other people don't see. You know what I mean? But then over time, as you continue to, see what others don't see, it then becomes tangible and becomes something you can see. And then people see it and then people believe it. So it's like, just like you said, us, like you said, as males, it's like that's kind of like uh, uh, a mentality that like kind of like we must have. Like if you have a vision, that's your vision. No one
Yeah,
else sees that. You know,
exactly. Exactly.
so you got to have that delusion. And create that skin thick enough. But I did like what you say about community, though. Like that is hugely important because you can have a community that sees the vision at least a little bit and gives you that fuel to just, oh man,
Feedback
I
feedback that you can interact with people is amazing. It's quite the people that are out in the world are so freaking beautiful, bro. Like I can't even fathom to tell the people that I'm friends with now, like the type of people that I'm meeting, and it's just like it's hard for them to concept because they haven't put themselves in those situations to in order to experience that. But man, it's so different to know that you have a whole bunch of people supporting you in so many different ways.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, man. And I think we touched a lot of topics. Hmm. I think what I'll leave you to is here's where I'll leave you. Leave us all with a jewel of where we can start becoming or forming into our next version. This is for, you know, your 10 to 28, these people, which I like this because, I'm young. So I feel for every, you know, but this is for the youngsters that, just need a little bit of good information that they can use tangibly and go make whatever it is happen. What
Yeah.
can you leave them with?
I'll leave them with a couple things, and I wish I had this growing up. Is something I wish we had was a rite of initiation that kind of
Mhm.
puts you into this level of from boy to this level of manhood, right? Like you have more responsibilities, you have more things to take care of. um I would say do something like Boy Scouts. Even though I didn't do Boy Scouts, if you are young enough and you could, not even Boy Scouts, maybe like some level of leadership role as a camp counselor or something where you can see yourself becoming in a essence of like a week, like a wilderness camp or something really
Mhm.
really interesting where you can, something maybe that interests you, and now you can help coach or teach, which I think we all are. I think we all are teachers. And when we get younger enough, and if we're young enough and we can see ourselves just sharing because we love to share and not necessarily to teach because we're trying to tell somebody what to do, it's a whole different level of understanding what it means to be a teacher. And
Mhm.
so um I would say that one for sure. And second, I would say if you are old enough and you can, a little bit understand just how to, figure out what to tweak in your own life, I would say get into human design. Look at your chart. Literally look at your chart. What is it that is your type? What is your profile? What is your strategy and authority? And use those strategy and authority to be like, wait a minute, for me it's to respond. So I have to wait for something that that really intrigues me in order for me to respond. I'm not the initiator. I'm not the one who's gonna always create things. I'm not. That's just not who I am. And I can feel that flow of energy. So it's understanding your energetic flow, right? So like, where is your circuitry? Like, where can you see yourself being the piece of the puzzle? And there's nothing wrong with being a role. Like, I don't. You don't have to be the emperor. You don't have to be the top notch dude all the time. There's definitely their play in when you want to exude that kind of energy, but still there's this level of, okay, I'm a piece of the whole. And I would say the last part is having a strong self connection
Mhm.
uh by means of body, not just mind. Like, you can read a lot of scriptures, you can learn, but get into the strength training, get into the gym, play some sports, get some activities, do rope flow, do some staff spinning, do these different things that kind of not trick your brain, but help your brain into realizing it is just not more, just it's more than just a body. It is an instrument. You're literally
Mhm.
a living instrument. And how can you play your own specific tune? um and that's an ongoing process always. But I would say from that 10 to 20 year olds, I wish I had a lot of these tools growing up. And I wish there would be, that's why creating Interceptor Academy literally specific just for that reason.
Yeah.
But I'm really hopeful for the new generation because I've seen a lot of really really like authenticity, this level of emotional intelligence that I've never seen in not even adults. It's
Mhm.
quite impressive to see this younger generation have an innate skill of understanding human nature. And so I'm not worried for anybody. I'm just
Mhm.
a piece of the puzzle like everybody else. And I
Right.
will say, those people that can't figure those things out by themselves, lean on your community, man. That's it. Like, it's okay to not be okay all the time. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. None of these things that you've told to be a man is really, what it is to be a man. A man is supposed to be able to have capacity to hold many things. It Even if it's a burden, some people would say that, but that burden that man takes on because he wants to take it on, not because it's a burden to him, because he feels like, if the more that I do it, the more responsibility, the more like it, I'm helping somebody else. I feel good, man. I feel really good. And so that kind of understanding, um, it's all about trying to find meaning and meaningful
Mm,
experience in the community, whether that's yourself, whether that's your parents, your friends, your family. Just go out there, be yourself, and authentically share what you need to share, especially in a world full of, people always trying to share and noise is always going to be there. I would say the best thing you do is share in person, because online is one thing. You can always share online,
right.
but share in person. Let people know who you are. Let people know, like, literally just tell them, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm into. Because then how else are people gonna know, man? And it's because there's so many things. I'm not saying that social media is wrong. I'm saying we kind of outsourced it for our ability to share just online, where that's not where we're made. We're made in the physical, so we need
Mm,
to share the physical. We need to have environments where we can create in the physical, build something together in the physical. And so, yeah, I'm really hopeful for the new generation, and I think that we are going to return a lot to physical in-person activities, whether it's agriculture, workshops, teaching, education, whatever you think. And there'll be obviously online stuff. However, sharing is going to take its turn by letting human experience take over in the physical.
man, thank you for sharing that. For sure,
Yeah.
that was beautiful. And to the listeners and the viewers, I guess the biggest extraction that I get out of this that I feel like I want people to hit home, because for me, this is the biggest for me is community. Just like Ishan is saying, is like through it all, through your journey, through figuring out your purpose, all of those things, the community is the anchor for sure. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming on the podcast and just giving all your gems and knowledge and information. This was good. This was good. So I really
And
appreciate it.
yeah, hell yeah.
Absolutely. Before we close out, is there anything you want to add? Or anything? Maybe anything you have for me?
Well, you guys, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram for my rope flow account, you can. It's at intr.flows, and then on my personal Instagram is at Ishan, so Ishan, and then dot Mishra, Mishra. And so, honestly, in those different places, I really love sharing my unique style of flow with music, overriding it, and it's not necessarily just like me teaching, because that's how I view, this art. It's a art for me. So there's different ways how I like to view sharing, information. So I'm excited for the future, and I appreciate Elijah. I can't wait to meet you in person one day, bro.
Absolutely. Likewise.
It's gonna be so dope. And then, yeah, let's keep building, bro. I see a lot of good things.
For sure, man. And I'll be sure to put all your information and contacts in the show notes and stuff so everybody can find that, very accessible. But without that being said, this was episode 5, with Ishan, talking about a bunch of stuff. I think this is very helpful. I'm grateful that this was really catered to the younger flock, stock, and people coming up, because this is the future. This is the generation that's gonna basically, put the world into a different, trajectory. So,
Oh yeah, I
thank
got
you for
goosebumps when you said
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 for sure. So thank you for holding that torch and just finding this passion and journey to trek this early on. Bright future. There's a lot of things that you're creating and that will be created in the future. So again, this is episode 5 of the Integrated Human Podcast, and share this with someone who's between those ages. Share this with a youngster, and if you're a youngster listening, share this with your friend, or share this with another youngster. Share this with your cousin. Share this with your sister or your brother. Right? This is really important, man. Like, this is like serious. Like, because me myself have personal direct experience with the things that Ishan is saying is very extremely helpful for a young person to implement and just try out, because it can make things a lot easier and just help you. So definitely apply these things to the best of your abilities. Yeah. So without that being said, thank you, Ishan, and we'll catch you in another time.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Take care, brother.